Something I have to do. Long for you, baby. Wanna be a part of your life. You might think I'm crazy, but I have lost you so many times. Happens every time. Heaven is falling down. We're like moon and tide. Don't you want another in time? Happens every believe in me, that sounds like you've seen it. That you and me got something true. And in a way we got something quite unique. Something I don't want to lose. So please don't leave me hanging. Let me be a part of your life. You might think I'm crazy. I have lost you so many times. That's right. Happens every time. Heaven is falling down. We're like moon and tide. Don't you want another in time? Happens every time. Heaven is falling down. We're like moon and tide. Don't you want another in time? I won't let you go. I'll be here from this second on. Drawn to each other, moon and water, just can't go on.
That, and I gotta put this in. Hey, my camera didn't show up. Where's my camera? Is that it? There. Oh man, it's upside down. Hey, how's it going? I'm in Australia today, according to the Ball Earth. We are experiencing levity. Yeah, we've been overcome with levity. Levity is everywhere. Can I hear myself? Am I muted? I'm not muted, am I? No, I'm not muted. Yeah, levity has befallen us all. It is a new world, and it's time to look at things differently. How am I going to fix that? Let's see there. We'll try that, and then we'll go there. There we go. How's that? Looking a little bit rough today. Sorry. I need to prepare for these visual encounters more. I tend to think, prepare myself mentally, and I don't spend as much time. You guys know that. Let's see. Melanie sounds great. Upside down. Man, I thought I fixed that, Melanie. I'm just kidding. Let me see. There's no mouse on my face. It's a little bit cold. Pulled down the window, and I can't find my jacket. So, yeah. Welcome to Wednesday. I didn't do a show Monday. I was working hard on the film this weekend. I spent way too much time trying to assign vertex groups, and when I was joining two meshes together, the frickin' UV maps kept disappearing, and I was having to choose between, do I want animated character or do I want UV maps? Do I want animated character or do I want UV maps? Finally figured it out after watching a 4-hour video where a guy waited until 3 hours and 17 seconds mark to tell me what I needed to know. That when you're merging UV maps, you just have to name them both the same and it'll be okay. They'll merge together somehow. and everything will work. But if you don't do that, it'll just delete the ones that you were joining. This is why I don't have a channel on Blender and Unreal and Unity, because that's how boring it can get in that world. And it really takes, it takes so much energy, because what you want is for this rope to stay in this person's hands. So no matter where he moves his hands around the scene, the rope is always attached. And those things are very simple. You know that it's a matter of just checking a box, but you don't know which box to check. And the tutorials out there, guys, if you're going to start a tutorial, do me a freaking favor and do not start the tutorial by repeating the title and the description. That stuff is already in the video. In fact, that's how they found your video, right? Which means that when you start the video, you don't have to say the title. You don't have to say the description. Now, some of you might be saying, well, James, look at you. Look at you, James. Look at you. Isn't that a little bit pot calling the kettle black? And yes, it is. But I guess I am running a tutorial. I'm running a tutorial on how to avoid a eugenics program. That is probably should probably stop wasting your time. But you know what? You don't. I'm actually not even here to give you a tutorial, because I've noticed that for a while, this was actually a while ago, that I felt better about myself and my identity if I was helping to wake other people up. And then I slowly realized that was like self-abandonment. It's weird, right? But like, when we do shit like that, we're actually abandoning ourselves. Veterans do that. Well, I just want to go over to Iraq and fucking burn oil fields so we can liberate those people. We nurses do that. I can't tell you what's happening right now because too many things are happening, but there are people in that COVID ward, the ward that I'm not allowed to go in, and those people inside there are dying and they're suffering, and it's your fault. It's not their fault. It's not you. It's your fault. There's even a fault here. And we enter into these transactions with each other, and they only happen because we abandon ourselves. That's the only reason why. It's the only reason why. If you were full of self, if you were self-full, right? See how the language is so screwed up? That you wouldn't even want to abandon yourself. You would find that was actually the most comfortable place we could be. Men will abandon themselves to women. Why? Because they see the woman. I think what it is that we see a woman and she dilates us. This happens really with any woman. I think it's part of the genital difference, which, by the way, we have a coupon code today. Ladies and gentlemen, you can get 23% off any of my books by going to the store and typing in the word penis. You might think, well, that's a joke. And some of you might think that's a joke and it's not funny. Some of you might think that's a joke and it's funny, haha, and that's great. See, I'm trying to track all these different responses at the same time. But it is true. If you go to my website and you want to buy a book and you type penis in the coupon code, you will get 23% off. Try it. Go ahead. Try it. I want to see if you were a person that was like, I'm going to go right now and click on that and type the word penis and see what happens. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let the chat know what happens when you do that. Yep. Some of you are like, hey, man, that's not fair. You might try and type a vagina in there. Hey, go ahead. See what happens. Just go ahead. Yeah, 23% off in my store. It's a Black Friday sale. We also have 5 books for sale for $88. I realize I'm selling something right now, but guys, I really need to get some money in. I just spent all the money on the audiobooks. They're having them produced and the 3D software for this movie and the machine. And I'm doing great. The patrons, this airship is freaking full. But we've also done some things that require some more coins. That's all. So it'd be great if you want to buy a book. And right now with the whole thing going around with Black Friday and whatnot, you could buy those books right now. You could buy all 5 of my books for $88. $88. So if you live in the United States. And you don't have to type in penis for that. That's if you buy all 5. Now, if you just want to buy one book and you're like, come on, man, give me a discount, James. I don't want to pay $24 for Best Apocalypse Ever. That's crazy. Who wants to buy that? You do, because you will go there and you will type in the word penis, and you will see a discount show up because you typed in the word penis. And if you're wondering why it's 23%, it's because your DNA, your genitals, I want to see you come from the root. That I'm going to reward you for coming from the root, right? That this notion of our feet as our roots will always be a source of power. And that if I can give you that discount right now by coming at it from the root, you too will see the truth in what I'm saying. That Jesus washed the feet, not the hands, because he wanted his witness to go into your roots, to your roots that touch the ground. That's why he washed the feet. And as you're watching someone that you think's witness is more valuable than yours, which is what you would think about Jesus, that for him to spend his witness washing your feet would completely baptize you on a whole nother level. And that is some of the badass-ish magic I've ever seen. Like true magic, transmutation, right? The changing of psychosis through the manipulation of will. What is prayer but magic for polite people, right? That's what it is. Don't tell me it's not. Oh, just they're different. No, they're the same. That you're practicing magic because you're calling on your God and you're asking for a result to come out. Dear Lord, please smite this person because they are gay. That's magic. That's a magic spell. It is. And you don't get to pretend that your magic is religion, but everyone else's magic is not. That's bullshit. We are psychotropically, yes, I said it, we are psychotropically manipulating our environment through nothing but the sheer power of our belief. It's true that by changing our perception of our world, by changing our perception of what's happening, you are changing the environment around you. And you're seeing the effects of that as it emanates from your own being. Why? Because it resonates to you. And that's what's happening right now. I want to remind you guys of the time when I was asked on a program called Richie from Boston. I was asked on that program because I was watching two ships, the Mercy and the Comfort, surround themselves around the United States, and one part in LA and one part in New York. And they were called the Mercy and the Comfort. Literally, the Joaquin and Boaz, the two towers of masonry, were poised on the 19th. That one of those ships had the number 19, SNS 19 was Comfort, and SNS 20 was Mercy. So they even had the number 19 in there. And these ships formed, and they were signifying that within the realm of the two towers, Joachim and Boaz, that they were going to show you a magic spell. That they were going to open the curtain on this magic spell, and they were going to perform a ritual, a rite, and that ritual was going to unfold upon all who watched it. And that they were inviting you to their church. That they created the church, they created the tent in the wilderness, they put up their pillars in the wilderness, and they created the one pole and the other pole. And they stretched between them this giant circus tent. They said, we are having a revival between these poles of Joachim and Boaz, Mercy and Comfort. And that this was on Passover. And the exact same day on Passover, the Space Link was launched, and literally all these AI robots were passing over the country for the very first time. AI robots in what were called space, but actually are just balloons, that were told the entire time, we don't actually know how we're going to connect this wireless service, but we just feel certain that it's important that we get them up there now. That these rituals that we participate in, we are involved in whether we're conscious of what's happening or not. It doesn't matter that you know what's happening, because ignorance is not an excuse for consent. It can't be, and that's one of the hardest lessons that many of us don't like to hear. That the Chansanas in the world who get so pissed at me don't like it because I'm telling them that they have more power than they want to have. That you have more power than you want to have. And that no one's ever shown you a world through these goggles. You've seen glimpses of it yourself when you hit a home run. You've seen glimpses of it yourself when you touch your first boob. There's certain events in your life that you succeed on. You go 100 times on that Shiva, whatever it is. There are certain times that you suddenly are in touch with a deeper set of skills. And they feel natural to you. They feel harnessed. And that no one's ever presented you with a psychotropic manipulation spell and told you that you were the person that was helping to wield that. No one's told you that. That's not built into your purview. And the reason why is because systemic victimhood is built into our system. That we have words like humble. And we bequeath these humble titles to people. And by giving someone the title of humble, what we're really doing is sucking all the life force from every child's eyes that exists in the world. A child that has these dreams of operating a giant crane or of rescuing a horse. All these fantasies that they have are constantly being spit on and stomped on with this systemic disease called humility. That we're constantly told that humility is where you want because humility keeps you from falling down. The humility keeps you safe. That the more humble you are, the more your nose is going to be akin to the ground. And that if you can be told that the virtue is found with your nose on the ground, that you will prosper as someone who's never experienced heights, levity. That the virus itself is man's levity, and that the society around you that you helped form, helped create, secrete a pollen that encourages anti-levity. That encourages those around you to never ever reach up because there's something that they claim is dangerous about the fall. There's something evil that we claim about the fall. And we've created this notion that we are all here in this world to learn how to be right. And therefore sin is what is wrong. But actually, we were brought here to learn how to be wrong. That your ability to embrace your flaws is going to prove yourself to be much more of a hero than anyone who decided to keep their nose in the dirt. That the humiliated person, the humble person, is never a hero. In fact, they are the coward. They are the deepest coward because they have declared that the lack of falling is virtue. They have declared that the lack of skinning your knee is godliness. And it creates a nation of veal. And it creates these transparencies, these spells, these prayers that are cast upon us inside a church whose wings are so big they stretch from horizon to horizon. You cannot see that you are in a church because you see sky. And you see sky because the pillars of this church stretch too far away from your isometric vision to determine their height. And instead of you admitting that, we've decided that we live on a ball. And we've decided that everything that we could know or not know is fully contained. That there's a contamination out there called ignorance and reaching, and that contamination is a deadly virus and it must be stopped. I want you to type penis into the coupon code and see what happens. See what happens when you tap into your genitals. Try vagina. Go ahead. I've tried vagina. You've probably forgotten how hard it was. Some of you rose your nose out of the dirt by accident. Someone kicked you so hard that it finally hurt enough to where you stopped trying to sniff righteousness and poop. That it finally got so smelly and bad down there that the taste was so painful that it now outweighed the comfort that you were having brought to you by keeping your nose so low. And this is the humble nature that we encourage everyone to follow on. That you are to assume that what you were told is true by default, because that is what makes you a nice person. Why? Because you trust people. But when you unwrap that trust, what it really means is, no, you trust anonymous people. That to say, well, he's a good person because he's trusting, really means that he's a gullible person because he anonymously agrees with things that are hypothetical. People that he doesn't know, he believes are much better than him because he has this humble religion, and he's sucking the life force out of every child in the world who grows up wanting to be strong. That he sticks a straw in the back of that child and drains their life force like a fucking Skeksis. And the entire time, we idolize him for his humility. That the vampire itself is the one who sucks your blood. And that the energy of these physiology, of this mass psychogenic belief spell, is causing untold tokens of power of your prana that are lost simply to the debate. And you don't even feel this. That you wake up from it, you don't even feel it. The moment you wake up, the first thing you think is, fuck, the world is not what I thought it was. The world is not what I think it is. As you're driving down the road, you're like, the world's not what I think it is. You can say you don't. Some of you will plan to be above it all. And that just means you're evacuated. The truth is that most of your field is having a constant battle. A constant field is having to be built every single day and replenished every single day. That reminds you that this reality bubble is not. That you're the only reality bubble. And that if you don't keep your bubble strong, illusions are going to leak through, and you are going to open yourself up to believing whatever the river wants to tell you. And that river is controlled by men that want more hyenas. That the hyenas themselves are the very people that are running that illusion right now. And you can say that the world is broken that way, but it's not, because the hyena are learning. That the hyena are reaching as high as they can. It just happens to be a couple of inches. And that they will eventually learn, just like you did, that they will stick their nose deep enough into the butt crack of another hyena and start to realize, you know what? That was not a cherry. There is not cherry pie up this guy's butthole. That he told me that, and all the other hyenas told me that if I stick my nose and my tongue up that other hyena's butthole, I will find cherry pie, and it just doesn't fucking happen. And that I can't think of a better way than having a system of hyena cherry pie eating contests that we have now to facilitate the true structural hermetic growth of lions, giraffes, and elephants out of the stuff of hyena. And we give, some of you like to say hyenas are beautiful creatures, and I've never once said they aren't. That I would tell you that I'm being more honest about what a hyena is and what makes it beautiful, because I simply watch them. And that the things that we do that are disgusting is also what makes us beautiful. That you will dig that shmem under your fingernails, just like the hyena will. That your boy will pick his nose and he will do things with that. And that's what makes us beautiful. But if you're living in this world where the lack of reaching is godliness, your child's not going to make it. Your child's never going to encounter strife. And the first thing your child's going to do is cuck for the 5th booster. It's just the way it happens. And that your resolve and your ability to survive is 100,000% on you. That's it. And the fact that you've even survived is proof of self-preservation, which is proof of self-love, which is proof of this untapped power. Understanding preservation really does show you the truth of the current that exists underneath. That if you have that horrible event happen in your life, if you become so sad, if you're just done, if you no longer want to preserve yourself, that even then you struggle to end it. Excuse me. Sorry, I meant to mute that. You struggle to end that, not because you're a coward, not because you don't have what it takes to end your life. You struggle to end that because you have self-preservation. And that you have so much untapped power that at your worst possible condition, that fucking battery is always there. It's always there. And that battery is not even small. It's just you see it as small. And you have to see it as small because you don't want that much gas going through your cylinders right now. Why? Because at 4,000 RPMs, you don't like the sound it makes. You think your engine sounds rude because it's 4,000 RPMing. You don't want to be rude, so you lower that down to 1,200 RPMs. You're just hopping along. The entire world is a school zone. Entire world. And only someone rude would attempt to go faster. That is systemic victimhood. That what I'm talking about right now is the only prejudice that exists in the world. And that prejudice is against the lowest minority, the smallest minority, which is you, yourself. That self-hatred is the only bigotry that runs this place. And that self-hatred is rewarded with garlands, giant buffets, or dispersed, thanking you for your humiliating service. Because by you humiliating yourself, you are making it easier for those around you to not feel guilty about not reaching up. Everyone else is doing it. Why can't I? And you look around today and you realize you don't actually know people that are for the vaccine. You don't know one person in your life that's for the vaccine. Go ahead and try and type it. But in the middle of typing, you're going to go, shit, James, you're right. You don't. You don't know anyone who's for the vaccine. You only know people who are afraid to doubt the propaganda. That's the only people you know. And you know this because those fuckers will take off their mask when they're home. They will take off their mask when they're home. This is not about a virus. This is about a spell. And you either have the defenses to protect yourself or you don't. And most of the people that don't are going to tell you that any kind of magical defense that you might pose is you being evil. That any attempts that you might have to actually get on your knees, to even raise above your nose off the ground, and to even try and get on your knees, more or less stand up, that you are the pride that goeth before the fall. That you are the Lucifer itself that's defying the very orders of God, who insists that we must stick our tongue deeper to find that fucking cherry diarrhea. And that is the sick, self-demented victimhood that's built into this culture. It's stained in the concrete like Jimmy Hoffa's body. It is oozed. The fat has left the cells and it has penetrated and tempered every sidewalk with this idea of lurching self-hatred with a candy coating of virtue signaling. That is a profitable system, and that there's not one person out there who's super evil and an expert at evil that is like, haha, I did it. I caused everyone to do this. No. Because when we do that, we become easier on ourselves. And we convince each other of how much easier all of this would be on ourselves if we would just show a little humility. That you need to listen to these experts. That you need to understand that morality is something that's outside of you, that these people have it and they will tell you what the fuck it is. That you buy into the darkest, deepest, murkiest, blackest magic you've ever known, and it's all called salvation. That the essence of salvation requires the predominant, pre-installed belief that you are broken. This is the heart of Blueprints of Mind Control, my book. The 3 steps of mind control. Convince target they are broken. That you are a sinner, or you're ignorant, or you're racist, or you're prejudiced, or you're white, or you're male, or you're heterosexual, or you're cis, or you're Protestant, or you, all of those things. That the very first tactic in mind control is convince target they are broken. So you're environmentally dirty, your carbon footprints are disgusting. You're a fornicating pond scum. All of these things are creating the systemic victimhood that makes it so easy for hyenas to sit around and masturbate. This mind control is slavery. And if you heard me talk about slavery, White Slavery Matters, I strongly recommend it for everyone. It's one of our episodes. But slavery is not you becoming a victim of someone else. Slavery is a 2-party agreement that the master and the slave are both participating in the same thing. That both of them benefit from slavery as much as both of them are hurt from slavery. That this is a consensual relationship between 2 people. And that if you look at the hyena dome that we have here, you understand historically that that relationship has been necessary. That all the salvation technology that we've covered in these classes or in these talks, that all the history that's just bleeding its truth to you shows you the potency of my words right now. That we have crawled ourselves out of a psychological pit. And that this pit even went so far back before we even had identity. That there was a time so long ago when some of us had no name. And that even when you start to look at what civilization is and giving you a name and a social security number and the birth certificate, we all talk about how evil and how the Luciferians own us and all this stuff. And fine, keep talking that way. But if you wanted to raise up a bunch of hyenas, the very first thing you would want to do is give those hyenas identity. That you knew if you could show them that they had something called identity, they could start to posture things, germinate things like pride. And we even have a dirty idea of what pride is. Oh, well, pride goeth before the fall and pride's bad. But no, pride is reputation. Pride is the outward manifestation of self-preservation. So pride is actually good. In fact, pride is a sign that you're doing well. It's such a sign that we even feel pride when we have pride. Kind of funny how it works that way. That we're proud of our progress. Which is literally the definition of that. That the identity itself would need to be installed. That convincing all the agencies of neurons competing for control I want to fuck. I want to eat. I want to sleep. All of these competing agencies conglomerate under an identity. And when you give them a spell of an identity, when you name them, when you assign them a number, they now have a maypole that they did not have before. So even civilization itself, as fucked up as it is, that there are these tenets that have been placed in it that are allowing these progressive steps to be taken by hyenas that are learning to stick their necks out. And the saturation of identity would only work if everyone was participating. And this used to be the case, that there was only first names. And that the nobles had last names because their family had a name, didn't they? I'm a Rothschild. I'm a Van Dingo. I'm a Cleanto, right? And then the poor people, no. I'm the farmer, James. I'm James II. I'm James the Lesser. Right? I'm James the Greater. And that over time we evolved enough to where we had last names too. Why? Because the field of our identity grew from outside of ourselves, that we started to identify with our family line, that our fucking DNA chain became a plasma conglomerate that existed in the psychotropic magical crystal fucking palace of our mind. And because we believed it so strongly, we were able to see it fruition, that it planted fruit. And the next thing you know, there's a doormat that says, "Welcome to the Joneses." And there's not one person in that house named Jones. How did that happen? That's Bob. That's Glenda. That's Tommy. Why are they called the Jones? Why? Because the energy field, the plasma of identity has grown strong. Why? Because it germinated in a healthy environment. That even this hyena pit is causing growth. In fact, the intricate difficulties of this place is creating this beautiful cow labyrinth, right? You've seen how cow labyrinths work, right? Where it's just like the simplest fucking gate, right? It's like a gate goes this way, then this way. I'm like, that's all it takes. And cows are like, oh my God, I'm so perplexed. There's no way I can get out of here. It's way too hard. Or a bull, a 600 motherfucking pound bull. His balls are bigger than your fucking face. And a teeny tiny strand of metal. Wire. Little pokey things that don't go more than this much. Stop him. That's all it takes. Why? Because his mind palace creates the rest. And he's living a life of humility. And we are proud of him for that. We're so proud of him, we're going to reward him by cutting his balls off. But before we cut his balls off, if he's really good, we're going to let him have sex in a controlled environment that we watch. And the woman, the female cow that he had sex with, we are going to stick so many fucking needles in her ass that she's basically going to be a man. And that's the society we have right now. And we have all these things like, well, thank you there, Shitmoth. She's said penis. that we think right now. Sorry, the word penis threw me off. Which is probably fine. Actually, pull this up. We have a crypto dojo today. I really hope Sterling Lee will be there. I hope many of you will come. Oh, yeah. Let's go back to the. I want to open the chat up just in case we're going to take some things here. Supposed to have chat up, but sometimes I don't get it up in time. That's what she said. There we go. 2 towers. Mercy and Comfort, LA and New York. their revival is America itself. The tent revival is America itself. Me being the neophyte, the rookie, as Hugh likes to call me, I thought that ritual was like a Luciferian, they're evil and all this other stuff. That's what I thought. I was in that mentality. And so I had a lot of doom and gloom around that ritual. I thought that we were going to see massive amounts of people die. Here's what's fascinating. Let me know in the chat if you remember this. If you remember us going through this. Because we covered this on the show. Not all of you have been there for that. But I was convinced that many of us were going to die. And then within a week, because it didn't happen, I was convinced that I was wrong. Both those things were wrong. Both those things were right. It's weird. That only now, when we look back, we'll see that, well, no, actually, James, when you said a lot of people died, a lot of people did die. A lot of people are dying right now. And it is because of a ritual, and it is because of Passover. It is fascinating because the Passover ritual itself literally says, we will test your blood, and we will determine who to take. And in the Bible, we always assume that, well, the people that did kill the goat, the people that did slaughter the fucking goat and smear its blood over, those are the ones that were saved. We assume that that's the case. But the Bible never actually says that. Look it up. It doesn't actually say that. Even the word spared could be looked at in an interesting way here. That it could have been that Passover ritual was a mitosis. That's the same thing mitosis is happening now. That we are analyzing where we're at. Where are the people at? How many of y'all still like to cut your kids' genitals? Raise your hand. And then like all these people raise your hand. How many of y'all still think that these vaccines are a good idea? Raise your hand. And it's no different. This is horrible, but it's no different than Indians. That there were times during the conquest where the poxed, herpes-infested people were taking over the indigenous population, mostly because of the herpes they had in their system. Remember, we were violating our kids, tearing open their skin and smearing pus on each other and taking like animal parts and shit and smearing it inside to give them venereal disease. And then they took this venereal disease to the New World and infected everyone. Look at Cortez, same thing happened. That we carry this Wetiko, this living virus, with us, and we think this virus gives us strength. We think Wetiko makes us invincible. And that's what vampires think. Like, if you turn me, I will be invincible. If you turn me, I will be invincible. It's the exact same thing. It's all played out. That we only have mythology to show us truth because mythology allows us to say, oh, it's not real. Oh, thank God. But it actually is. It's just as far as we can see. That this ritual has played out, and that many, many people did die, and that a choice was brought, mitosis was made, and right now you're seeing that separation. That something was injected in the culture and instantly caused the oil and the water to separate. That the wheat and the chaff, I'm still going to say chaff. Some of you get so mad when I say chaff. I think it's hilarious that there's the wheat and the chaff. You guys need to get a sense of humor. Maybe I do too. That this separation has been happening throughout history, right? If you watched my Frequency of War things, you saw the same thing. The War of the Georges. Guys, the song Yankee Doodle Dandy was played on both sides. Both sides had the same song. Both guys were named George. Both Georges played the same song to convince the people that their worst enemy was named George. And what ends up happening? The same thing with Native Americans. Pete? Yes, sir. I want you to take 12 men, go down the river. I want you to shoot every Indian that drinks water by touching his lips to the river. I don't want you to kill the ones that use their hand as a cup. That those are the ones we're going to save because we think that they are savable. But the others, those are too savage and they have to go. That this mitosis has been happening every single day through every single culture and every single country all around. It's happening right now. What throws us off the most is the costume change. That the lion and the witch persist because the wardrobe keeps changing over and over. And that some of us, just like that cow that can't figure out that, well, I need to go at a 45-degree angle and then turn to 70-degree angle and then I'm free. That the same thing happens with us. That in order to pull the fish hook out, I have to push the fish hook in deeper. And then go this way and then pull out and then I'm safe. That these things are too hard for most of us. It's more comfortable to remain the hyena. That you're watching these tests happen all the time. You do the same to others. That you initiate these same tests, whether you admit it or not. You can't help it. It's how you learn how to trust people or not trust people. And I think the same thing is happening with crypto. El Salvador. I don't mean some guy named Sal. I'm talking about the country of El Salvador has converted their entire operation. The entire government, the entire country of El Salvador. This is not a joke. Although if you type penis into JTrue for a coupon code, that could be a joke. You don't know. But that El Salvador is completely converted to Bitcoin. From now on, the entire government will be run on Bitcoin. Why? Because nothing else was working. How does it work? Well, I'll tell you. There are no taxes in Salvador on property, income. None of that. There's no regulations. There's none of that. The entire thing is going to be run on blockchain. How do they do that? People who buy Bitcoin can stake their Bitcoin in the country of El Salvador. They're giving bonds to the country that the people who love El Salvador can say, hey, I want to invest in this country. And they are. And now the country is actually owned by people. People. And those people who own that country formed a conglomerate. And that conglomerate doesn't have managers. It has rules. It has code. It has contracts. And that the only way you're ever going to be able to survive in the El Salvador government is by initiating with the Bitcoin itself. Now, this is going to terrify many of you, and I hope it does. I want us to be terrified of crypto as long as it keeps us healthy. But I want to remind you that most of you use electricity. And I think one of the evilest things that's ever been done with electricity is when Thomas Edison electrocuted a fucking elephant in the middle of Chicago. You want to know why Chicago's so fucking evil? It's because shit like this. And the people watched Edison. And that we pretend that the people are so good and that the evil ones are so evil. But if the people were really good, they would have hung up Edison right then. They would have hung him as a witch. They would have said, you are not acceptable, my friend. That you coming up here in the middle of the day and electrifying an elephant and killing it is what we would call evil. But we don't do that. We don't. And just as electricity was spreading, there were people running around saying electricity is going to kill you. It's the most dangerous thing in the world. They're using it to kill elephants right now. You would have to say you're right. You would have to look at that and say you are right. And then you would also have to see what electricity got you too. And that this is when we notice the systemic victimhood is even more rampant than we thought. That we offload our power so much that we cannot hold Thomas Edison accountable, that the people will not pull Thomas Edison off that stage and literally rip the shit out of him for doing that. That would be good. That would be the morally good decision to make. To say, dude, I don't know what the fuck you were thinking. You brought this elephant up. I thought he was going to like put a hat on or something. Maybe he's going to like flip a switch. No, you fucking electrified him. You sick fuck. That would have meant society was good, but we're being controlled by evil overlords. That did not happen. That did not happen. Shit like that does not happen. It never happens that way. That right now, look at the thumbnail for the video. Right now we're putting VR helmets on kids, 5-year-olds. Telling them that no matter what they think, no matter how convinced their immune system is that this is a bad idea, that we are going to take you to a stranger who's wearing a mask and they're going to shove a shrapnel into you, and none of us have any idea what it's going to do, but in 40 years we'll know. And hey, it's okay, because in 40 years maybe you could sue somebody. Maybe you can have some of this monopoly money that they're printing. That the people who go along with that, those are the evil fucks. Those are the Luciferians who are controlling everything. They're controlling everything from the bottom. They're controlling everything with their tongue up the asshole of another one who's got his tongue up the asshole of another one, and they're all convinced there's a fucking cherry. That's the evil force in the world. So don't be telling me we have to get them. No, we have to get us. We want to take someone down. We need to take us down, but we'll never do that. Because systemic victimhood is built into this system because it makes it easy for all of us to phone it the fuck in. That we can watch Edison electrify an elephant and still go home. And even though our kid's in shock, has no fucking idea what he just saw, we're just like, well, he's just a kid. He has to learn. Or wondering why our daughters are suicidal. We're wondering why our kids are just fucking breaking down. Losing their identity. Not only losing their name Jones, but losing their fucking gender. Their identity has become so precociously malleable that they don't even know they have a fucking penis. That they don't even know they have a vagina. This is the world we're in. And if you want to know why Ball Earth is the way it is, I don't think it's because the evil Luciferians are trying to trap us. I think that people who used to be hyenas are watching us, menacing each other, and saying, we need to keep these fucking crazy motherfuckers in a hole. We need their own place where they think they've got it all figured out, where they will not go outside of this fence. And you're looking at Ball Earth. And the whole time you're like, well, it proves that they're evil because they would lie to us. And no, it proves that they are fucking not who we are. That's all it proves. It proves that they know that we will be comfortable with lie, that we will build an entire civilization around this lie and put girders around it and set up Starbucks and the whole fucking bit, that we don't care if it's wrong. And all of us are sitting here going, well, according to this, honey, the markets are financially insolvent. Well, that would mean that they would be running fraud. Well, that's just atrocious. Gee, I'm sure that once this Enron case is over, all this will be solved, that we pretend this, every single industry. Oh, well, Vietnam, that was such a horrible mistake. Oh gosh, I'm so glad that would never happen again or never happened before. Oh, Madison, the Cutter incident, that was just a horrible mistake. That was a mistake, that's all. And you end up with this Jimmy Stewart shit where all you're doing every single fucking day is explaining, what a mistake. Oh, they're incompetent. That's even better. It's my favorite excuse. Well, they're incompetent. That is the systemic victimhood. It's excusing this. It's excusing it with every single step we take. Incompetence, we say, which means he's not responsible. He's just incompetent. Do you see how we do this with our language? You have to see it. You have to. You have to see that this is how it works. And that this ceremony was to keep going, that eventually enough of us would trip that 100th monkey, would trip that framework where it became too expensive to be a hyena. We're watching that play out now. You're watching that happen right now. I fear the fuck out of electricity, and I harness it. My brother's an electrician. We ran a new line up from the pole. The pole came into the house, had to run in the panel. The panel, every single wire had to be run in. For me to put in a new breaker is very new work for me. But I get the gist. I can turn off the main, I can pull out the breaker, I can do my work, I can put it back in, I can use testers, I can run through all the steps. Electricity is not evil or good. What I do with electricity will either be electrified good or electrified evil. When you're living in victimhood, you're going to blame things that aren't human because you don't want humans to have power. And you're watching that right now with crypto. That these same Masons who built this same church, who built this same ritual, who set up this same thing, that could not make it more clear how much of a fucking fraud our military is. Look at the Taliban. You don't think that's Wayne Sexton? You don't think that that's a CIA operation with them sending videos of dancing, of driving around in our trucks? You honestly don't think that there's people in the CIA that are high-fiving each other for being able to get that into the media? That entire plane fiasco where they're pretending to show people clinging to a plane as it takes off, it turns out it was actually taxiing. It had landed an hour earlier, a long time, like years ago. That shit is simply revealed itself. And I know it's scary to see it revealed, but through it all, if you watch closely, you see something. You see the goodness in you is out there. And you start to understand how important NASA is, that NASA is performing a patriotic duty by creating this realm where hyenas can learn to fuck up as quickly and efficiently as possible. That you realize that the answer to this world is not to slaughter everyone, because the only flowers that will ever bloom will be hyenas that had enough. That seed will get sick of being underground for so long that it will have no choice but to reach for light. It'll simply miss the comforts of it. You're watching this mitosis happen right now, and you're watching a new world being built on top of it, and those things are happening at exactly the same time. If you believe that these people are evil, you're going to believe that crypto or electricity was put here in place to enslave you. And it has. Electricity has enslaved most of us. Absolutely. Definitely. I will find myself retreating to a place that has electricity over a place that doesn't many times. That even when I go camping sometimes, I will be like, oh damn, I wish I had power. And it's okay. But that's what I wish. That is the systemic victimhood that's built in the system that's allowing me to thrive. That it's breeding a new cat that's dependent on these systems which help it grow. You're looking at that right now. But inside you is this spark. And that spark is the same self-preservation that kept you alive when you were suicidal. And the reason why that spark is so upset and so traumatized by the world is because the spark is right. That the spark has seen reality for what it truly is, past your victimhood, past all the stories you tell, past all of it. If you think crypto is going to enslave you, it probably is. If you think it's not going to enslave you, it could still enslave you. We are enslaved to crypto right now when we come to a red light, that you and me are obeying the blockchain. And a while ago, we would determine it ourselves, that you and I would have an energetic exchange, and we would decide which of us gets to go at this intersection. But we decided a long time ago, let's give that to the blockchain, and we did. And there's no dispute. When a court case happens, the red light itself is entered into evidence, and it is never doubted. It is never questioned. The blockchain wins. Why? Because you're dealing with a society that hates itself. And a society that hates itself and constantly abandons its power will give it to the machine. And the more power it can give to the machine, the more that machine is helping it to feel more humble, to feel more hyena, and to dig deeper for those butt cherries. The system is not made to make hyenas. If it was, you wouldn't have last names. You wouldn't have heritage. You wouldn't watch an entire country try and burn heritage down, just like the groves. You realize in the Bible, they were burning down the groves. Who we call the good guys was burning down the groves. The literal roots of the people in the Old Testament, the Asherah, was being burnt, castigated, and demonized because it had heritage. And you're watching the same thing happen with the South. That the South had heritage. Why? Because when the venereal disease people came here, many with venereal disease said, I like the Indians. These guys are great. I'm Cherokee now. Or I'm Seminole now. Or I'm Powhatan now. That all these tribes themselves were fully integrating. It was already happening. It was one of the biggest problems that the hyenas had. Is, oh fuck, this isn't a new land. There are 20,000 people in this city alone. Just this one this place, this island we landed on is bigger than London. And another guy goes, well, call it the New World. But it's like older than anything. We'll call it the New World. We're calling it the New World. And if you think that was odd, it's not. But the reason why no one knows who built the pyramids is because the pyramids were just there. They were there. And people with shitty graffiti skills, the Egyptians that we call Egypt now, just started writing their names on shit. And they did a horrible job. Look at the art. They did horrible. You want to know why Zahi Hawass won't admit what's going on? Is because it doesn't make his people look very good. It makes them look like vagrant degenerates that came in and just started spray painting things. Kilroy built this pyramid. How do you know? Because he painted his name inside. It says Kilroy was here. He had to have built it. Had to be him. And you know who buys those answers? Fucking hyenas. The same thing with all science right now. That we have all this fraud. It's not just an Enron, right? That all these industries, that all these rituals keep showing you the fraud in, whether it be medicine, whether it be military, whether it be business, whether it be government, that every single industry is built on lies. And the reason why it's built on lies is simply because there's so many hyenas. There's so many. There's no other way to sustain it. That you have to pile on top of someone else, on someone else, on someone else. And pretty soon, it doesn't matter if it was a lie, because too many people have to believe it. They've turned that thought bubble into it. These realities are hard to form. They're hard to hold. And as you hold your flat earth or zertetic or round earth, or what someone said the other day, it was awesome. Raptor earth. That was fascinating. Raptor earth. That if you have raptor earth, that your reality bubble is strong enough to survive every day, that you can wake up every single day, despite 18 years of indoctrination, and say, this is my world. That you have to create a magic bubble. It's like a C sharp. And that you form that bubble, and inside is your reality. And you use things like shame, like nakedness. Your own shame and your own nakedness is that reality bubble. That you think you look disgusting naked, that you look ugly naked. You think that way because you need that bubble. You need that bubble. And it's the only way you can maintain yourself is to be ashamed of it. That at the core of what makes you who you are is shame. And it's beautiful. It is beautiful because that is that core power, that untapped power, that battery that's always on, feels like shame. And it doesn't matter how low you feel, shame will always show you more. Always. Boom. It's that kind of thing. Kilroy did have a penis, Hugh. Very good. The earth is clown-shaped. As above, so below. As below, so above. Exactly. So, if you want to go to Crypto Dojo tonight, come at 7. It's free. This one's free. When I say we haven't had other crypto dojos, but normally we run a dojo, and the dojo's for like dojo people that you can join a couple ways. Actually, we have scholarships for dojos, so even that's free a lot. Point is that I'm not here to teach. I'm not teaching tonight in this crypto dojo. What I really hope will happen is that just a bunch of really cool cats will come, like Sterling and others, and that these cats will just hang out. What I really hope will happen is they'll get to know each other. What I really love to happen is to see maybe some groups splinter and create their own smaller groups. I am going to be hosting how to make an NFT with me as the guinea pig. I've never made an NFT. And I just think it'd be fun just to walk through the process. I think that if you really want to understand where things are now, these people that landed these two towers and created this mitosis with COVID, they're not done. And that one of the most important parts of this is creating a new monetary system, a new kind of electricity. And this is going to be hard to fathom. The same way the internet was hard to fathom. Many of you hated the internet and thought it was just for porn. The entire time while people were, and hey, I look at porn. I'm not trying to say I'm not, but hear me out here. That when everyone was saying, "Oh, the internet's just about porn, it's all disgusting and gross," I was just using the internet like a motherfucker. Like I was teleworking with my clients. I do a lot of design work, a lot of programming work. I was researching and learning. From the moment the internet hit, I was blown away about how much you can learn from it. But most of the people in my circle, most of the hyenas, thought, well, that's a sex tool. The internet's a sex tool. And if you look back, you'll see that. And I want you to understand that the same apprehensions people had about the internet, people have about crypto right now. And it's a brutal, lethal technology that will rule you much like a traffic light will. And it's also a very powerful force to electrify your will. One of the biggest things in this is the new economy. Really, the only reason why I even want to have a crypto dojo is because I just don't think that we're getting it. That the contracts that we're creating, even the invention of the micro penny changes everything. It's not like there's an actual thing called a micro penny, but what I mean is that everything that you've ever bought, sold, conditioned, traded has always been based on a penny as its lowest denominator. Every single service you've ever had. And it might seem ridiculously petty, but when you understand what a micro penny is, that you can take a penny and break it down into even further bits, that a whole new economy can emerge. And that economy that you might think is petty actually probably be bigger than the economy we have now. And that witness itself is being monetized. That you've spent most of your life thinking your witness was worthless. And that what you're watching right now is the monetization of witness. Now they've taken something priceless, which is your witness, and they put a price tag on it. And that's what Babylon does to everything, because that's how the whore teaches you to value something that you are giving it away. That until she takes something priceless from you and puts a price tag on it, only then will you start to value these things like sanctity, autonomy, sovereignty. This is how it works. This is how you train giraffes, elephants, and lions. So, what I'm hoping will happen is that people will just start to just think about all the things that are happening right now. Big one happening right now is called DeFi, the decentralized finance. It's financing through grassroots. It's the concept that people can collect around a vibe, and that vibe becomes a source of stability and revenue, employment. But employment's the wrong word here. If you guys understood that before COVID, most of the economy was people playing Candy Crush at work, you really understand that, seriously, maybe 65% of all the jobs aren't actually jobs, they're just babysitting. The corporations themselves, this entire time, have been churches. And the congregation is paid to go to that church 40 hours a week. And if the congregation worships at that church for 40 hours a week, they are given communion. They are given currency for that. And that most of those people don't actually have jobs. If you've ever been self-employed, you learn really quick. Holy shit, I was never working. You never were. You had a job. Very different existence. Your job was to collect, worship, and support a church, corporation that had certain crusades that it believed in. And the main tenet of that crusade was the survival of the church. And we have this idea that inside a church, that's where science happens. And even though these people who say, I'm completely convinced in all this, and what the health department just said about COVID, not once is there a PubMed link. Not once is there a reference. Because it's a church. And that these people that have been forced to lose their jobs have lost their jobs because this ritual of these two towers is not over, my friends. That this separation between the two, the pulling of the hyenas and the pulling of the giraffes, that the only way to pull giraffes is to provide them with a way to survive. And that they know that the way to survive is to place the good leaves, the good fruit, high up above the hyenas where only a giraffe will stick its neck. And it is insane for you to think that it's all a bunch of evil Luciferians, because you wouldn't do that either. That you would find value in those giraffes. You would love those giraffes. You'd be like, that giraffe is sexy as fuck. I love what that giraffe's doing with his life. And that you would trust your daughter's ability to wander through the forest knowing that there are more giraffes out there, not less. And that the way to breed those giraffes, to create a new world, is not only to allow the giraffes to separate themselves from the hyena, but to take it even farther and remove the entire bottom from the hyenas, this entire bullshit economy, and allow it to be recreated from the top through these giraffe networks. And you're watching that right now. You're watching it right now. And I don't need you to believe me. I don't. It doesn't matter. We are not at the stage now where I have to convince you that we can have a better world. The better world's already been forming. You're either going to be out there listening to these dumbasses tell you how deadly crypto is and how fucked people are who don't listen to the Bible's morality. Shit like that. You're about to see really quick that those Bendecos, man, they got their tongue so deep up another hyena's ass, they're never going to see straight. It's not going to happen. You want to tell me that you're religious because you read the Bible. And I'll tell you that you're safe from COVID because you took a vaccine. That these are the same things. Jesus didn't carry a Bible. Not one of the apostles carried a Bible. Not one. The holiest people in the world that you know never even heard of the New Testament. That was written by the World Health Organization. And that Romans 13 is in there for the same reason why Joaquin and Boaz are broadcasted on the news. They want people like me to see, and they want people who listen to me to hear that something is happening. Something. What I saw happening did happen. It took a lot longer than I ever thought. Not only did it take a lot longer than I ever thought, but it wasn't the evil, twisted, Luciferian bullshit story that so many other truthers had convinced me was happening. It wasn't that way at all. It's completely the opposite. That we, you and me, are forging a new Aquarius. And we gotta get rid of the chafe, man. Gotta get rid of it. We cannot move forward with pretenders in the boat. Can't do it. So, if you want to come to 7, I hope that 7 p.m. Eastern, I'm pretty sure that Melanie and Sark and Sarah and anyone else has probably been telling you that in the chat. I hope so. You guys let me know, but I hope so. Make sure that you have information how to get in that chat. It's a Zoom link. I'm not going to read the Zoom link online because it'll take a while to say all the words. But that's what it is. If you want to come. It could grow into more. It could not. I don't know. I really need you guys to buy my books, though, right now. Could really use that money. There's a I need a horse. I need a dead horse for this scene. It's important. If there's a dead horse in this scene, it's going to be really, really important. That dead horse is expensive. All these 3D things, all the things that we're doing, yeah. And I want to buy more crypto. I really want to buy more crypto. So, buy my books, please. We have 5 for $88. That's a special I don't run all the time, but all 5 of my books for $88. You can buy them right now. There's a PayPal link. If you're not from the United States, you're not going to be able to get the $88, but if you click on that link, you'll see it. It's just a little bit more to get the international shipping. If you don't want to buy all 5 books, you can instead go into the cart on my page and actually pick which books you want. And if you type penis into the coupon code, you will get 23% off. Try vagina, see what happens. And yeah, would love to see that. Would love to see the audiobook's done great, by the way. Thank you for everyone who we paid for the production of the book. I'm very happy with that, and made a little bit more. So from now on, we kind of have that on the shelf, helping the airship along, and you buying the books would help that along too. James, I wanted to buy your books, but the site link just goes to PayPal, which is not working. Oh, crap. Oh, that sucks. So just yesterday, we changed some things on PayPal. So maybe the link isn't working. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But maybe you could buy it. I shouldn't have said anything. I shouldn't read my email like that. Topic crypto. There it is. Thank you, Star. Melanie's just posted in the chat. Melanie's Star Sourcer, by the way. Topic, Crypto Dojo time, November 24th, 7 p.m. There it is. There's all the information you need. There's the link you see right there. And you could type in Venus blob, but it's probably not going to give you a discount. Yes, thank you, Zark. You guys can do that too. I'll leave it alone. I'll let you guys go. And have a great day. I want you to work on that plasmatic transmorphic bubble of your reality. And the systemic victimhood is going to stick that straw in your neck every time you walk out the door. Stalk that. Realize what you could be doing with that witness. You could be putting that witness into research right now. You could be looking at ideas that you know would have no choice but to flourish. There's all kinds of... Guys, what we call a job is not going to be a job. It's not. In the future, jobs aren't going to be what we see them as. That you're going to find that there's actually a pretty thick economy purely built off witness and connection. That your witness and your connection, you saw that with social media. That you've seen the entire time in Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. You're watching an economy build that wasn't there before. It's the economy of witness. And I know it might sound crazy, but that economy of witness is worth 1,000 times more than all the petrodollars ever printed, placed together. It's so much more powerful. You're looking at an exponential economy, not a scarcity economy. It's a different way of looking at it. And I'll tell you, I'm not going to tolerate there will be one coin that will win and everyone else will lose talk. That's scarcity talk. That you're looking at projects right now that have already worked, that are already working. We bitch about Ethereum. Why? Because Ethereum is doing so well. The reason why Ethereum fees are so high is because of how kick-ass that token is. How that contract token is so well crafted. And these things are brand new, which means the things that you've been told by rumors by some guy who's claiming to be Satoshi or whatever are bullshit. That the problems that they're claiming are going to completely destroy and unseat, that there's not enough, the sun itself is not powerful enough to render Bitcoin out to 21 million, that kind of shit. That all these things have been thought of by people like you and me. And that constantly their ideas, their magic is being put to the test in a real world environment. And that environment is working out so well that you're calling some of these projects bad simply because of how powerful they are. Because of how well they work. I think you'd be really, really looking out for yourself to put some more thought into crypto and distancing yourselves from the people that are trying to tell you that electricity is the devil. Because those same people watch Edison electrocute a fucking elephant. Those same people, they just watch. They watch. And then they still use the power. What they want from you is your victimhood. They want to talk shit about Venus. They want to talk shit about crypto. They want to talk shit about anything as long as you keep your tongue up their butthole. It's a sick, sick cycle. And the hardest thing about pulling that tongue out is realizing where it's been. You realize where it's been. And that's why I say I don't know anyone who believes in the vaccine. I only know people that just can't afford to realize where their tongue's been. That's it. These are just people that don't know, that don't want to admit where their tongue's been. All right, guys. Great day. Remember the penis. Remember that code. And I hope to see you guys tonight at 7. I hope that happens. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. That'd be great. Comments are always good. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.